Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday, March 31st, 2026 Finance and Property Standing Committee public session. Trustees, please raise your hand if you have any questions. Your name will be added to the speakers list, and the chair will recognize you to speak when it is your turn. We'll start off the meeting with a land acknowledgement, and I will call on Trustee Lin to provide that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Glad to provide a land acknowledgement for this evening FNP meeting. We affirm that we are all treaty people and acknowledge that the York Region District School Board is located on the lands of two treaties. These treaties have been signed with the Mississauga of the Credit First Nation and the First Nations of the Williams Treaties, who are the Mississauga of Alderville, Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Schuylkill Island, and the Chippewas of Beausoleil, Rama, and Georgina Island, who is our closest neighbor and partner in education. To honor this agreement, we will take up our responsibility to be respectful of their traditions, knowledge, and inherent rights as sovereign nations. We will respect their relationship with this land and recognize that our connection to this land is through the continued relationship with these First Nations, and we acknowledge our shared responsibility to respect and care for the land and waters for future generations. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Lin. At today's meeting, we have Trustee Lin, Trustee Butterworth, Trustee Mahmood, and online we have Trustee Michael Chen and Trustee Wright, and Trustee McCarthy as well, so all members present. Our first item is the approval of the agenda. So without objection, the agenda will be adopted. Is there any opposition? Without objection, the agenda is approved. The next item is the declaration of conflict of interest. If any member of the Finance and Property Standing Committee has any direct personal interest or direct or indirect pecuniary interest in any matter being discussed during the meeting, please state the conflict and the nature thereof. Hearing and seeing none. So next we have the approval of the minutes. The minutes of the February 24, 2026 Finance and Property Standing Committee public session have been distributed to all committee members. Are there any corrections to the minutes? As there are no corrections, the minutes are approved as presented. Our next item is a community delegation. Tonight there is a delegation before the committee. The chair would like to take this time to remind the committee, our guests, of our rules. Firstly, the delegate and committee members shall use respectful language and shall not disturb the decorum of the meeting. With respect to the decorum of this meeting, the chair would like to make clear to all members, the delegates, and attendees that some of the following items would be considered by the chair to disturb the decorum of the meeting. If any of the following occur tonight, the member will be muted and will move on, and we will move on with the meeting. Number one, members, the delegate, and attendees may not attack the motives of others. One may speak about why their position should be followed, but one may not attack the motives of others. 2, one may not use foul language. 3, one may not use hateful language that is meant to belittle, demean, or in any other way put down others. If one crosses the line, the chair will have them removed from this meeting. The maximum amount of time for the delegation is 10 minutes. A clock providing for the time as it elapses shall be on the screen. Staff shall mute the delegation if they exceed their time limit. The chair would like to remind all meeting participants to ensure that their remarks are as succinct as possible. Trustees and student trustees in attendance at the meeting may ask questions of clarification following the delegation's presentation. Debate or questions that are not clarifying in nature are out of order and shall not be permitted. Speaking time for questions from each trustee and student trustee to the delegate shall not exceed 3 minutes, and any trustee or student trustee who exceeds their time shall be muted once they exceed the time. And the delegation is reminded that the content of this meeting, including their delegation, is part of the public record and will be accessible to the public and is part of a public recording of this meeting. This evening, the delegation before the committee is from Brian Johns regarding 2026-2027 capital budget item. Brian Johns, the chair recognizes you to provide your delegation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Good evening to Mr. Chair again, and to trustees, staff, members of the public, and thank you sincerely for the opportunity to speak. So my name is Brian Johns. I'm a resident of East Gwillimbury, and like many in our growing community, a parent of young children. So I'm here to respectfully request that the board include a two-part feasibility study in the upcoming capital budget to evaluate the case for a public high school in our community. So this request is about using data to help responsible planning and ensuring cost-effective infrastructure that reflects where students actually live in an environment where the York Region District School Board is experiencing fluctuating student enrollment in different geographic locations across the region. Next slide. So tonight I'm asking the committee to consider inserting a two-part feasibility study into the 2026-27 capital budget. And the goal of the study would be to evaluate the long-term case for a York Region District School Board public high school in East Gwillimbury. This is not about rushing a decision. It's about ensuring that the board and the province have the information it needs to make the right one. So right now, East Gwillimbury, next slide. Right now, the East Gwillimbury students are dispersed across multiple schools outside of their community. A significant majority attend Huron Heights Secondary School, while others attend Dr. Denison Secondary School. I'm going to pick up my pace here. In fact, an overwhelming majority of students at Huron Heights actually live in East Gwillimbury, not Newmarket. And Huron Heights Secondary School is now very much East Gwillimbury's public high school. And over time, as population demographics have shifted, this has created a disconnect between where students live and where they go to school. And this arrangement has real impacts for families. Students are spending hours commuting outside of their community each week, participation in extracurricular activities becomes harder, and families are managing longer transportation commitments for those activities outside of busing. And we know that a local high school strengthens community connection and student participation, and that matters. Next slide. One important point I want to emphasize tonight is that the East Gwillimbury community is ready to support a high school. York Region District School Board already owns property on Second Concession, and multiple potential sites are identified within the approved municipal plans. And this means that York Region District School Board is not starting from scratch. Planning groundwork has already been completed. Next slide, please. East Gwillimbury's planning also envisions the possibility of co-located community infrastructure. In 2018, the Municipal Council adopted the Health and Active Living Master Plan that is available on the Town of East Gwillimbury website that specifically references partnership opportunities with future high school, and more specifically, partnership opportunities for indoor and outdoor facilities. And this could mean a potential community theater and a lit artificial turf field that could serve both students and the community. This type of shared use model helps maximize public investment and reduce long-term duplication of facilities. Next slide, please. So the first part of my request is a 20-year capital cost review of Huron Heights Secondary School. For some reason, the wording doesn't match up with the slide here. This would examine and estimate repair, maintenance, and life cycle costs over the next 2 decades. Importantly, this timeline would align with the amortization period of a new school that could be built. This study would allow for supportive, tangible data and transparency. Next slide, please. Huron Heights is approaching 60 years in age, and as with any facility of that era, long-term capital pressures inevitably increase. And the question worth exploring is whether continued investment in an aging asset is the most responsible financial long-term strategy. And this study would help answer this question. Next slide, please. So the second study that I am requesting is a market value and redevelopment assessment of the Huron Heights Secondary School lands. This would evaluate the potential value of the site and its future opportunities. And understanding the full value of public assets is simply good governance. Next slide, please. So the Huron Heights Secondary School site is uniquely positioned. It sits near the South Lake Regional Health Center and along the Davis Drive Rapid Transit Corridor. During a housing and affordability crisis, when transit-oriented housing and land optimization are major provincial priorities, this location is strategically significant. A study would allow for the province and the board to fully understand that market value potential. Given recent and comparable property sale transactions of similar sizes within Newmarket, there is possibly an opportunity for the province and the York Region District School Board to not only increase their taxpayer-funded balance sheets, but for the province to create an environment to deliver on provincial priorities of housing and affordability to help protect Ontario. Next slide, please. So I also want to address a concern that has been raised. Some worry that a new high school in East Gwillimbury could impact enrollment. However, projections suggest enrollment at Huron Heights are expected to remain relatively flat for the next 15 years. Most importantly, a large majority of those students already come from East Gwillimbury. To have a small minority of Newmarket students who attend public elementary feeder schools in the north of Newmarket is without burden for them to travel 5 to 10 minutes north versus the current 5 to 10 minutes south. Students of East Gwillimbury have been commuting for hours weekly for multiple generations now. This is about aligning students with their home community, not an alignment with an enrollment concern. Next slide, please. So this feasibility study allows for the province and the board to evaluate a fundamental question. Over the next 20 years, what is the most responsible path? Continuing to invest into maintaining an aging facility, or evaluating the potential benefits of relocating and modernization that include delivering on provincial priorities, municipal priorities, and further executing this with a piece of land that is already owned. And data should guide this conversation. Next slide, please. So this request is not driven by growth alone. It is rooted in good planning, responsible asset management, and an alignment with broader infrastructure and community objectives. It's about making thoughtful, long-term decisions that cross municipal boundaries that could help improve the quality of life for thousands while creating new opportunities for potentially new housing beyond being located next to transit infrastructure and employment opportunities. Next slide, please. I would also like to share a personal perspective. I'm an alumni of Huron Heights Secondary School, and I am very proud of what the school represents. Programs like Arts Huron and Warriors football, the Warriors football program have built a reputation that extends well beyond York Region. These programs are an important part of Huron Heights and the board's legacy. And relocating to East Gwillimbury could strengthen these programs. A potential and possible future vision of a purpose-built theater could support the continued growth of Arts Huron. Enhance athletic facilities, including the potential and possible opportunity of a lit artificial turf field, and I will go as far as suggesting seating and potential training facility when working with the incredible stakeholders associated with Warriors football, could help boost the program to thrive for decades. This is about building for the future, a future that could potentially mean Friday night lights in East Gwillimbury and dimming the lights in a theater for productions on Saturday. Next slide, please. So a potential co-located facility in East Gwillimbury would create benefits beyond education. It would strengthen community identity, increase access to extracurriculars, and provide shared cultural and recreation spaces. In many ways, it could become a community hub. Next slide, please. So at its core, this conversation comes down to one simple principle. Students should have the opportunity to attend a high school in the community where they live. East Gwillimbury families deserve a local public high school at their doorstep. Next slide, please. So tonight, my request is very straightforward. Simply include the two studies in the 2026-2027 capital budget. So a 20-year capital cost review of Huron Heights Secondary School and a market value and redevelopment assessment of those lands. And this is a request for evidence, transparency, and responsible planning. Next slide, please. So in closing, a feasibility study is both a positive and a pragmatic step. It allows for the province and the board to evaluate options under the full financial picture and a plan for the future of students in our region. To this end, I will be forwarding a copy of my letters that I've sent previously, the slide deck, and my speaking notes, everything that the York Region District School Board now has, to the Minister of Education for full transparency for the province. This is about making informed decisions that will impact our communities for decades. Next slide, please. And that's everything. So thank you very much for your time and consideration tonight, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Trustees, are there any questions of clarification? Trustee Mahmood?
Thank you, Chair, through you. Well, I appreciate, coming on behalf of the residents in East Gwillimbury. We need passionate people like yourself to come out and then, do this, so this is amazing. You mentioned that you want to have it, the first ask is that, so through you, Chair, a 20 years feasibility study on a project on the school. I'm just not clear that what is the expectation of that study would be, because if we, as a board, have purchased the land, we intend to go there in long term. When our certain parameters or attendance or whatever you will say that will make sense, then it will be on the list side. So I'm not just clear that what is the expectation on the first ask is.
The chair recognizes the delegate.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you to the trustee. Thank you, sir, for that question. I think that, so the two parts of it are, one, to essentially break down what the capital cost would be moving forward. And when you're asking the question about the 20 years as opposed to, let's say, 5 or 10 years, while I'm not an accountant, when you're looking at the amortization of a new build, you could look at it over a 20-year period. So if you're comparing apples to apples and you're thinking, should we be continuing to make investments into a 60-year-old school, and you find at the end of the study that you discover that you are going to be spending X amount of money, and then you add that up with the value on the second part of the feasibility study that speaks about the value of the land and the opportunity to unlock and unleash that land for housing along the transit corridor in a housing crisis and an affordability crisis, I think you may be able to discover that when you're adding the two together, it may turn out that when you look at apples to apples, it may be a great decision to build a new high school with all the opportunities that a new high school could bring.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Trustee Mahmood, and thank you to our delegate. Trustees, do we have any further questions? Trustee McCarthy online, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. And through you, Mr. Johns, thank you for that very thoughtful presentation. I have, the answer you just gave does help me a little bit, but I just have one more clarifying question. Am I understanding that you're suggesting that Huron Heights be relocated to East Gwillimbury and that we use that land as, sell that land? And that, I know obviously you want to do the surveys and we need data, and I understand all of that. I just, is that what I'm understanding the suggestion to be, the end goal is of your presentation, if everything lines up the way it's supposed to? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Trustee McCarthy. The chair recognizes the delegate.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you to the trustee. Short answer, yes, but I will take a step back from that and say, some of the challenges that we contemplate is the fact that these end up being personal decisions. Again, as alumni and multiple generations going into Huron Heights, there are a lot of people within the community that have a special place in their heart with where Huron Heights is located. But the reality is that I'm standing before this committee because this committee will look at numbers and look at property. And so if this committee decides to move forward, and the beautiful part of what the committee is that it's simply looking to, should we at least look at it to then put it in the budget? Because when you arrive at the budget, the group will decide as a whole. But the opportunity to be able to look at numbers and data versus the personal feelings that we have towards it. The reality is that from land value and comparable pricing, the province has spent decades and then working through with the region and other partners on rapid transit and building up the corridor on Davis Drive. The amount of employment land that exists within South Lake that is within walking distance, the fact that we're in a housing crisis, the fact that we are in an affordability crisis, the fact that the municipality in Newmarket is already transitioning lands along that corridor, and so the answer is yes. But I just don't think that it should be a negative one when I answer yes. I think that when you look at the opportunity for, I will say the possible opportunity for Arts Huron, I'm an Arts Huron guy, to have Arts Huron actually have a theater I think that would be a wonderful thing for the future and building on what is great. And then I also think that Warriors football, known across the country, the opportunity, again, I made the comment about Friday Night Lights. What does that say about culture of football and growing the idea of the football program within our school board?
Thank you. Trustee McCarthy? Oh, is that time? That's time, sorry. Next, we have Trustee Butterworth.
Thank you very much, Chair, and through you. First, I want to thank you for your presentation. I want to say it's very inspiring and very ideal, and everybody, I should say, in this room knows that I am a strong proponent of East Gwillimbury getting a high school. I wish we could build it tomorrow. So I thank you for thinking outside of the box and doing all of your research. I think it's fantastic, and I love the vision. My question is, I'm going to go back to the feasibility study. There's a lot involved in that, and I'm wondering have you looked at whether we already have the data? Like, I know you're looking at long-term, but I mean, we already, in a sense, do long-term studies in a sense. Like, we have to project, we have to have our projections on what we think student enrollment is going to be and so on. And I look at cost, per se, on this. Is this something that maybe others, have you considered others could be part of this study versus just us?
Thank you, Trustee Butterworth. The chair recognizes the delegate.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you to Trustee Butterworth. So that's a great question, and that's why the motion that I framed the motion in the way that I did. I noted the two studies, but then I also said upon acceptance of that to refer it to staff for the budget amount, because I actually believe that there can be quite a cost-effective way in doing these studies. There are some incredible people that work on staff here at the York Region District School Board, and I can say with confidence, not certainty, but with confidence, the amortization and understanding how much money needs to go into a 60-year-old school over the course of future 20 years, there will be data to be able to historically model that. And then further to that, the ability to look at land value assessments, those are done within the marketplace all the time. And I think that the ability to allow staff to be able to propose what the budget number would be when the time comes to, if we're approved here tonight, to be able to determine what it is and to be very cost effective. And quite frankly, given the budget, and while we are respecting every penny that goes into it, I do think that the ability for the York Region District School Board to pull off these two feasibility studies and give some transparent data on the opportunity, I do very much think it would be a rounding error in the budget.
So that concludes that time. Thank you, Trustee Butterworth, and to our delegate. Do any other trustees have any questions? Thank you. So since there are no further questions of clarification, that concludes the delegation. The chair will now move on to the delegation motion process as governed by the operational bylaw, specifically under Appendix E. Trustees, does a member have a motion to propose? Trustee Butterworth, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So I move that the presentation be received for information, and I also would like to move that the presentation be referred to the Director of Education to follow up with the delegation by assigned staff.
Thank you, Trustee Butterworth. So Trustee Butterworth moves that the presentation be received for information and that the presentation be referred to the Director of Education for follow-up with the delegation by assigned staff. Is there any debate? So, Trustee McCarthy?
I'm sorry, Chair, that's an old hand. I apologize.
Thank you for the clarification. Okay, I don't see or hear any debate, so the question is on the adoption of the motion, that the presentation be received for information, and that the presentation be referred to the Director of Education for follow-up with the delegation by assigned staff. All those in favor of the motion shall say aye. All those opposed shall say no.
Carolyn Butterworth, yes.
Trustee Mahmood, yes.
Yes for me.
Michael, yes.
Trustee Wright, yes.
Kamala McCarthy, yes.
So the ayes have it. The motion is adopted as read by the chair. Thank you. That concludes that agenda item. Thank you very much. So the next item is our information item, which is construction project, new elementary and secondary schools and additions to schools. The chair would like to invite Senior Manager Gerard Paris to speak to the first item.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, everyone. Referring to Appendix A of the construction project report, which can be found on page 15 of your package, there have been no updates since our last committee meeting in February. I can report, however, that all the projects are progressing well and remain on schedule. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Senior Manager Gerard Paris. Do we have any questions? Okay, the chair sees no other trustees, no trustees on the speakers list. So now we will move on to the 2026-2027 budget consultation item. And for this, the chair would like to invite Controller Sabrina Wang to speak to the item.
Through you, Mr. Chair, page 17 to 33 of the agenda package includes the information report on the 26-27 budget consultation. The public survey has launched earlier last week and will remain open until April the 17th. The public webinar is scheduled for April 13th, and the presentation for the webinar is included as appendix to the report. I'm not going to detail about that report today, but as of yesterday, we have received 3,318 responses. For the context, for the comparison, we received about 2,800 responses for the 25-26 budget consultation and 1,900 for the 24-25 budget process. So we are seeing continued increase in the community engagement. I would like to thank for the research and the community team for putting this together, and thanks trustees to help promote the survey and increase the community awareness. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Controller Sabrina Wang. Trustees, do we have any questions? Trustee Mahmood, please go ahead.
To you, Chair, I don't know if staff has access to that data which has come so far. Do we know the trends of the recommendations coming through that data, if it is available, or is it going to be compiled only when it's all fully closed on April 17th, I believe?
Yes.
Controller Sabrina Wang.
Right now, it's very preliminary data. We have to wait until the response gets closed, and the research department will consolidate the data and come with the recommendations. Summarize the recommendation and feedback we will share.
Trustee Mahmood? Thank you. Thank you. Do we have any other questions? Trustee Lin.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much, staff team, for since the last few public meeting. I am very pleased to see such number turns out. We are not even at the web banner, and we are only like a week into the survey, and we are seeing this interest. I think it's important, especially I think we will stress it again as a public body that from previous public meeting and email that's sent from the director and staff to all the families that we will be experiencing some pressure or significant pressure in the upcoming 26, 27 years. I think it is instrumental for the public to engage in this, and we continue to receive the survey, and hopefully that we can find a collaborative trend to inform staff and allowing trustee to make a proper governance decision on how we're going to navigate the next 3 months. So this is just a comment to thank you. I am really uplifted to hear that we have 3,300, which is surpassing last year already. And well done to the comms, well done to the colleagues, well done to, I am seeing some school public, local school public-facing website that they have the budget consultation request to all the families. So this is well done. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Trustee Lin. Controller Sabrina Wang.
Thanks. We will continue to collect all of those feedback, and we will have this webinar on April 13th, and maybe there will be live questions. We will provide our response as well.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions? Okay, I don't see any other questions, so we'll now move on to the decision items. For this, we have one item, the trustee conference request. For this, the chair would like to invite Manager Audrey Ballard to speak to the item.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. The report on pages 35 to 56 in the agenda is regarding trustee conference requests. Through our policy and procedure 220, trustee services, all trustees interested in attending conferences are to bring forward their requests through the Finance and Property Standing Committee. We have 3 trustees interested in taking a online governance program through the Schulich School of Business, and all 3 have appropriate funds within their trustee professional development, which is allotted for the 4-year term. So this is just requesting that they could register for this course, and any information about the course is attached in the agenda, as well as the cost and their applications. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Manager Audrey Ballard. Do we have a trustee willing to move the motion? Trustee Butterworth moves the motion. Thank you. Do we have anyone opposed to the motion? The motion is approved as carried. Sorry, the motion to approve is carried. So that concludes our decision items. The date of the next meeting, so the next Finance and Property Standing Committee public session is scheduled for April 28th, 2026. And seeing that there are no questions, we'll move to adjourn the Finance and Property Standing Committee public session at 7:36 p.m. If there are no other items of business, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you to trustees, committee members, staff, and presenters for joining tonight's public session.